Hey y'all, how you doing? Um, little little video here I'm gonna make. Little tired and exhausted. Little update on my truck. Yeah, I'm kind of focusing on the back end because it's making a lot of noise. Yeah, that 9 1/4. Yeah, it's pinion bearings is making noise in it now, so that really stinks. But I'm trying to look at this like glass half full, silver lining kind of thing. Um, about 2, 3 years ago, I went through and I put new axle bearings in that rear end and new uh, carrier bearings in that rear end. Unfortunately, at the time, the pinion bearings weren't making noise, and I really didn't want to take that pinion out and do all that. I probably, now I look back and I probably should have, but in the meantime, since I've had it up together, over there in that plastic bag right there, I don't know, you probably can't see it. There is uh, a mechanical, well, we're going to call it a limited slip. It may be like a maybe even a locker, but maybe kind of a mild locker, I guess. It's definitely not no Detroit or nothing like that. But that does fit the Mopar 9 1/4 inch rear axles. So you see where I'm going with this? So uh, that gives me an opportunity to put that in, and I may do that. So, however, the um, the other big thing is that I would go ahead and just pull this rear end apart and rebuild it, but the problem is I don't really have anything else to drive. Now, for right now, for the next 3 or 4 days, I have my daughter's car to drive, but I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to rebuild this rear end and to get the parts. So, all the bearings and everything like that. Um, the the one seal, and I have to get like a pinion seal and a gasket, the rear cover gasket. The axle seals, like I said, they're not very old. So what I'll probably do is just slide the axles out just far enough to get, to get everything out. I may slide the axles all the way out, you know, depending on how hard it is to get the pinion out. And that's one thing that's kind of holding me up. I don't really have the tools to work on the pinion. So I did know a guy, but he has probably sold all of that stuff. So there you go. However, I have an alternative. Let me show you. Yeah, how you like that little close up there? Right, let's go out of the garage. All right. And look here. What you're looking at is a Mopar 8 1/4 inch rear axle. Yes, I know it's not. It's greasy and ugly and nasty and dirty and filthy and grimy and blah 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 blah. But here's the good thing about this rear axle. It doesn't make noise. It has no issues outside of the brakes, which I don't know you can see very well here in the dark, but these brakes they're not that great. I mean, they're moderate at best. But yeah, this rear end, it's flipped over right now. It's upside down. But the gear oil looks fantastic in it, and it is the same gear ratio as mine, which is 355, which is fantastic. I love that. However, I know it's not as heavy duty as mine, and it's not as strong as my 9 1/4. However, I also have, I don't know if you can see it back here, but I also I have an 8 3/4 sitting right there that's for a truck. Yeah. You know, an 8 3/4 housing is for a truck. So I'm not without some options. Now that 8 3/4 though, that's going to be that would be a big dollar build right there. Yeah, I'm cheaper to just rebuild what's in the truck, my truck right now. Now, I got this out just this morning. I got this 8 1/4 out of a '89 model Dodge truck. It's a D150 long bed, 318. You know, pretty standard stuff. I think it'll do okay in my truck for a while, even when I'm towing or something like that. Um, but I don't think it's going to be, I know it's not going to be some big badass rear end that's going to like take tons of abuse and everything else. However, I have seen some of these really surprise me. So, I'm not going to poo-poo an 8 1/4, especially when it's going to get my truck back going again, and then I'm going to be able to have the time and the opportunity to rebuild the 9 1/4 that's in there right now. So that's where I'm going. So, I mean, I guess what would be even more ideal is if I had an opportunity to take that 9 1/4 and put C-clip eliminators and could eliminate the C-clip axles and all of that sort of stuff. That would be even better. But hey, let's one thing at a time, one day at a time. So, but what I'm going to do with this is, you see the white looking goopy stuff that's on there, that's oven cleaner. I'm soaking this thing down, and I've got that all over it, a can and a half. And once I'm going to go inside and I'm going to eat, and I'm going to, because I've not had any breakfast or nothing. I'm usually one of those, I like to eat some breakfast in the morning. So I just got on this and got it out of the truck this morning. I had most everything done. I just had to disconnect the drive shaft from the rear axle. That was the only thing left to do. Got that done. Now the only thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this sucker up. I'm going to swap out the brakes off of the 9 1/4 that's in my truck right now, which I'm pretty certain they're exactly the same size. These are the bigger brakes. There was a smaller version. And I'm going to swap out the brakes because I think mine are in better shape. If I have to, I'll get new brake shoes and get the drums turned. And I'm going to swap out the wheel cylinders, and I'm going to take that cover off, and I'm going to drain the gear oil out of it after I get it cleaned up. And once it's all cleaned up, I'm going to get all of that done, then I'm going to put it in the truck. So it doesn't take long to get these out. When everything cooperates, it's pretty nice. So even if you don't have a lift, just floor jack and some jack stands and stuff like that, I mean, you can still get them out. It's so even if you have to drag it on the floor, it's but what you see here with them sitting on the jack stands, that is actually the see there, it's sitting on the jack stands like that. That is actually the very best way to hold this thing up. And if you're working on one of these, any kind of rear end, I don't care whose it is, this is a pretty nice way to keep it from like flopping around and hurting you and damaging something on the rear end and all this sort of stuff. So do yourself a huge favor. Do something like this when you're working on them, okay? Use your head, be safe. Don't mash a toe and that kind of thing, okay? All right. I'm going to give you some updates on this as I go. Maybe, part 2, 3, 4, and all of that. Hopefully it won't last that long. But this is part 1, I guess. And so, all right, I guess that's pretty much everything. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or anything else you want to talk about, put it down there in the comment section below. I'll do my very, very best to try and get back to you. And okay, thank you very much, and God bless.